Hi, good afternoon to you all, and welcome to another webinar from Simply Mail Solutions. I'm Paul Bogle. I work on the business development side here at SMS, and I've also got my colleague Josh Cox, who's from marketing, and together we're going to take you through a webinar today on Microsoft 365 insider tips and tricks, with a particular emphasis on security. Um, so around security settings that are good to know and how you can switch these on in Microsoft 365. This is quite topical with every business type. So in particular, cyber attacks targeting small and medium-sized businesses are on the rise, and we want to make sure that your business stays safe whilst remaining as efficient and productive as possible. So welcome. Just a little bit about SMS. We're a Microsoft Gold partner. We specialize in providing managed services for SME and mid-market clients, established for 15 years, serving over 4,500 clients. SMS or ISO accredited. We provide 24/7, 365 support for all the services that we provide to our customers, with our technical staff being UK based. We specialize in the Microsoft stack, so around Azure and Microsoft 365 in particular. So there's literally hundreds of security features for Microsoft 365, and there's different plans. So within different plans, I'm covering the top 5 tips that are available in almost every plan of M365 versions. So today we'll be covering threats, policies, and configuration analyzer, organizational privilege access, secure score, MFA, authentication methods, and activity. So to start, we'd go down into the admin center, and then we'd take a look at the security and compliance area. So you can click on security tab, and it will take you to Microsoft 365 Defender portal, and you will see under policies and rules there is threat policies and something called the configuration analyzer. Now, if you've not looked at the Security Center for quite some time, there have been some changes, quite a lot of changes, in fact, more recently. So under the threat policies, you can find here in the admin center, you've got something called the anti-phishing and anti-spam, and the anti-malware policies. They're basically something called EOP, Exchange Online Protection, irrespective of the version of 365 that you have, whether it be business or enterprise. Typically, you'll get all of these features, so you can go in and configure anti-malware policies, antivirus policies. You definitely want to go in and have a look at all of these features. Here I want to add just a little tip. When you're setting up your custom domain name and during the configuration of this DNS domain, it will ask, do you want to include DNS records for things like security? Definitely make sure that you include your security DNS records. Otherwise, your clients will not know where to go for those, and they're all included here. And that's actually taken care of when you do the actual setup. Now you can see out of the box, Microsoft provides you with a fairly robust set of default settings. You can edit the protection settings. You can customize this if you want to, and the key thing is not really that it's here. The fact is that you need to switch it on and make sure that you've configured it correctly. I'll just go back to threat policies. There's an option, configuration analyzer. So configuration analyzer in Microsoft 365 Defender Portal provides a central location to find and fix security policies where the settings are below the standard protection, and strict protection profile settings in preset security policies. What this does is it looks at all the different configuration settings, i.e. anti-phishing, anti-spam, and it's pulling out all of these rules, and you can see it's giving you a score, and it will say, do you want to improve this? So if you want to, it's making some recommendations. So these are all the recommendations that you can actually do to improve your score. There are also some strict options as well. So by default, the configuration analyzer opens on the standard recommendations tab. You can switch to the strict recommendations tab. The settings layout and actions are the same on both tabs. You can implement these rules by just simply clicking onto the rule. Click into the message here, and it will tell you a little bit about the actual rule, what type of rule it is. Under the configuration analyzer, there is something called configuration drift analysis and history. So what that means is any administrators have made changes from, if any administrators have made changes from the standard configuration, or they've made they maybe lowered some configuration settings, you would get those here. So I would say definitely check out the configuration analyzer. Really powerful feature, and it makes some great recommendations on how to improve your security. And just to mention, by the way, of course, as with all of these tools, if you click on them, you can learn more. Let's go with another security feature, organizational privilege access. In the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, under the organizational settings, there is another feature called security and privacy. Now, in the past, you may have wanted to give users in your organization admin access or admin control, and that was called role-based admin control. This is where you can assign or elevate users permissions to become an admin. So, for example, if I wanted someone to be a Teams administrator or somebody else to be an Exchange admin and so on, what you can do here is, once you have switched this feature on, is allow privileged access requests and choose a default approval group. So you can basically say, I'm going to allow privileged access not just to roles, but also specific on individual tasks. Now I'm going to search for a group that I can use as an approval group. Essentially, it provides a way for people in your org to perform tasks that otherwise would require a high level of permission or an admin role. So this is a fantastic way of saying, John just wants to do this particular task and so on. So once you've switched that feature on, you can now go in and create policies, manage requests. So here you can click on request access. So you can automatically approve. You can, again, depending upon the task or the role or whatever you've set up. So those would get notifications on what they were then going to manage, that and the policy, and either accept or reject it. And it's a really simple and really granular way to give just enough access, but just in time. In the Defender Admin Center, there is another great feature called Secure Score. Secure Score is not only a great way of improving your security posture, but also comparing your kind of score with your industry peers. So what we have here, we have the Secure Score dashboard. You've got an overview, improvement history, or actions, and then you've got general trends at the moment now. And you can see here that you've got a score of 24%. It's showing us that we have 12 points out of a possible 49. It seems okay, but we could do better. So you can see that we also have a number of different categories under the recommended actions. You've got apps, you've got identity, and so on, and you can customize that if you want to. The important thing that we have here is not only your score, but you can also get a number of recommendations here with improvement actions. So you have a visibility, you have insights and guidance to maximize your security, and that could help you take the full advantage of Microsoft 365 Defender. Secure Score helps organizations to get the reports on their current security posture and compare them with benchmarks and establish KPIs. Under the improvement actions section, you can apply the built-in recommended policies like safe links policy or turn on safe attachments. Click onto the option here. It tells you a little bit about the feature. It also tells you how to implement it and shows you which users, if any, would be affected by this. And more than that, it shows how many points that you can gain. So how that works now, if you've got other users, or let's say a support team in your company, you can go ahead, you can email this to them. It can be set up in Teams, you can share it in Planner, and you can even copy the link. So it's really powerful feature there. Now you've also got a history of anything that you've gone ahead and implemented. And finally, these are the trends. So this is where Microsoft are actually comparing your score with your industry peers, and it shows you whether your score is improved or it's increased or so on. It shows you the trends. So it's something to take a look at. It can really help improve your security posture. The one thing about Secure Score is that you might be interested in this every year. So Microsoft have a Secure Score competition, and it basically involves companies like yourselves enforcing or creating a scenario where you have the highest workable score, where you're still making it easy for users to do their work. Now looking at multi-factor authentication to protect M365 accounts, we're all very aware that basic authentication can be challenging for use in cloud accounts. Password spray attacks can steal user credentials and lead to tenant compromise. MFA enables you to provide more than one way to sign in terms of Microsoft 365. On the admin center, when you come into active user, you can implement it in a number of ways. It's available in most 365 plans, and essentially just select a user here and then enable MFA. It couldn't be simpler than that. So also an MFA app is available. You can also enforce your users to enable the MFA, and you can skip MFA for any requests in these locations. So let's say, for example, you've got different branch offices, London, New York, Delhi, then you can put in the IP address ranges here and it will skip it. And so To look at authentication methods and activity, go to Azure Active Directory and scroll down. Now, this particular feature you can't do in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. I'm going to come down to security. So just to talk about this authentication method, excuse me, one of the big kinds of things that Microsoft have been pushing for the last few years or so actually is the concept of passwordless authentication. So rather than MFA, which is great, it's very good, but can also add in something that you are and something that is you physically have. So for example, if you're using Windows Hello for Business, of course, you can either push that out within your organization through Active Directory, and if you've got users just in Azure Active Directory, then you can push that out through Intune, of course. But there are some other really cool features, and these include things like FIDO keys. So if you're using these new kind of next-gen FIDO keys, which are like these hardware tokens, and you don't need a username, you don't need a password. Really simple to set up. You can just go ahead and click policies under the authentication methods and select the FIDO2 security key option. Say yes. I want to enable the FIDO key. It will prompt you either you want to enable it for all users or just for the selected users. So you can select the specific users here, go ahead and save it. That's it. The Microsoft Authenticator app helps you sign into your accounts when you're using two-factor verification. Two-factor verification helps you to use your accounts more securely because, as we all know, passwords can be forgotten, stolen, or compromised. You can enable Microsoft Authenticator settings for all users within your organization, or you can select specific users or groups within the organization to deploy that. And of course, you've got the capabilities. You can set up text messaging for this as well. So we have some monitoring tools here. So for example, activity, and this will tell you how many of your users have registered. Maybe somebody started to register but abandoned it. Maybe they had problems. So this is really useful, and it will show you how the user is authenticated here now. So to support you with this goal, is your Active Directory portal gives you access sign-ins activity logs that contains the information about sign-ins and how your resources are used by your users. You can look at your own sign-in logs and of course what you're looking for, any signs of unscrupulous activity. So you can see if you scroll down here, most of these sign-ins are successful, but what we're typically looking for is failures to sign in. So if there is a particular, if these are is a failure to sign in, it shows us who's trying to come in. As an IT administrator, you want to know how your environment is doing. The information about your system health enables you to assess whether and how you need to respond to potential issues. To support you with this goal, the Azure Active Directory portal gives you access to 3 activity logs. So you've got sign-ins, information about sign-ins and how your resources are used by your users, audit, information about changes applied to your tenant, such as users and group management or updates applied to your tenant's resources, provisioning, activities performed by the provisioning service, such as the creation of a group or some service now or user imported from Workday. The new authentication methods activity dashboard enables admins to monitor authentication method registration and usage across their organization. This reporting capability provides the organization with means to understand what methods are being registered and how they're being used. It's a very good diagnostic tool here. So for example, if somebody's logging in trying to steal your password, of course, we already know your username. It's the email address, and what hackers will typically try and do is they will try and hack in and obviously use your password, but of course, MFA and this passwordless authentication, this completely removes that threat, and it's absolutely brilliant. So the sign-in show you where the user is coming in from, the IP address, the location, what device, what browser they're using, what authentication method they're using, and also, as always, if they're being hit by a conditional access policy. So just to be familiar with those sign-in logs, and also like I just mentioned in the security area, definitely think about either MFA or some of those other authentication methods. They'll increase your security standing by 1,000%. It's that powerful. So many businesses who are perhaps on business basic, business standard, you know, why upgrade to Microsoft 365 Business Premium? That's a question which you may be asking yourself, and typically it gives you more robust level of security with the Business Premium. Is advanced security, device management, etc. So we have a team of sales executives who can take you through what your licensing options are, how that would work. Here in the bottom right hand side of the screen, we can see the business basic compared to business standard, and also compared to the business premium. And business premium is pretty much all about security here. So I'm happy to have a chat with you. Sales executives are at hand, and also our IT technical support is also there, ready to have a chat. So that brings us to the end of my presentation, and it takes us into Q&As. Thanks for watching. I'll pass you over to Josh, who can take you through questions and answers. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Great stuff. I've learnt a lot myself there. I've just dropped our email in the chat for anybody that has any questions that they might think of at a later date. That is all from me and the SMS team. Thanks everyone for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon for another one. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.